guys doing? Good. All right.
Cool. So, thanks everyone for sticking around. Badge is all sorted. BT is here in the building. I was giving them a little intro
Cool.
right before you showed up, just kind of explaining. In fact, how many of you use Stutter Edit? Let's do a show of hands one more time.
Cool. Great.
So,
I love hearing that.
They know the idea already.
Okay, good.
And I had literally just got to the point where I was explaining that's an effect. This is an instrument. So it's got all of the things that you know and love from BT. Wavetable synthesis, micro edits, we'll totally look at that. But it is a drum instrument, and what you've been working on it for like 10 years?
Yeah,
years?
even more than that. So it's funny because I just pulled up some of the proof of concept kind of design documents from this thing, and they're almost exactly 12 years old. So some of these ideas, have been kicking around for me theoretically for quite some time, and so to see this actualized and wrapped in a UI is actually it's a really exciting moment. It really, really is. So, what you're saying is right. One of the primary differences between this and Stutter Edit is that this is an instrument, and it's an instrument to create rhythms, but not only is it an instrument for rhythm programming, but it really does truly blur the line between what you think of as rhythm and what you think of as melodic. So, and we'll get into all of that here. So,
12 years of development came out this morning, so we're pretty excited about it.
It's an exciting moment.
Yeah,
it really is. Thank you.
There we go. All right, so I was playing them a few presets before, so I know we could just play a little bit of audio and then kind of talk about it and show the micro edits.
Cool. Yeah. Well, that sounds great. Maybe before we show some presets, one of the things that I wanted you guys to see, and it's probably one of the most exciting things that distinguishes this from other drum machines, right? There's two things that are just really cool to point out, just as kind of a meta sort of overview of this. One is this idea that how many of you use drum machines? Okay, great. All of you. So all of you guys are familiar with the paradigm that we have 16 steps to work with, right? Now, if you double the tempo, you can make that 30-second notes. Maybe if you half the tempo, maybe you got 32 steps. But you usually have 16 steps to work with, and that's the, God bless them, the TR style sort of way of doing things, and we've had that as a standard for many years. This completely breaks that paradigm, and how it breaks that paradigm is you're able to take these notes, and I'll show you here really quick.
Go ahead.
You're able to take these notes, and whereas you would normally insert, a couple notes like this, and this would be 4/16 notes in succession, you can take these notes and stretch the note out, and then take that, which we call a gesture, and subdivide it that many times. So it's actually something that's never been possible before in any rhythm composer on earth. And so that's one of the first kind of, paradigm-breaking things about BreakTweaker is this ability to operate above the 16th note grid. Now, excitingly, and we'll get into some of it, you can subdivide those not just rhythmically, you can subdivide them by pitch. So you can make those figures arpeggios. You can do the craziest shit in this thing you've ever seen in your life. But that's just kind of a brief overview of the micro editor. And then the other thing I wanted to show you, just really simply, is you're not bound to 4/4 as a meter. You might program your beat dominantly in 4/4, right? But you can do a timeline right here that's in 3/4, and you can do another one that's in 7/8, right? So you can have things that operate. I saw somebody post something on a message board, and they're like, way to make up terms about us, and they're like, isorhythm. Did you fucking study any music? Like what? So you can do isorhythms in this, right? Which is 2 meters operating coterminant, right? So you can program your backbeat in 4/4, and then you can have things that turn around isorhythmically. So, one of the things that we said in kind of the overview of this product is that your beats get better the more they go, and they really kind of do. Like, if you let something run for a while, you're going to get all of these interesting iterations and permutations of your beat that you may not have thought of, especially if you were just programming something in 4/4. So, all right, that's my little bit, and then let's show them some patches.
Yeah. So actually, while BT was talking, I was kind of like doing a little bit of entering stuff just to kind of show you what he was talking about. So We have this little beat that I've just built really fast. It's got a kick, snare, and 4 hi-hats. So if I just mute this, the hi-hat, just listen to the kick and the snare for a second. It might be more fun if we go.
Can I say something too while he's doing this?
Please do.
The sound library for this thing is alone is worth the price of it. We spent so much time on the sound for BreakTweaker, did we not? Like it was a real focal point of this as a piece of software. You know, this does all these amazing things, microrhythmic things and isorhythms, incredible wavetable synthesis. But one of the things that we wanted was for you guys to have the immediacy of taking something and making kick-ass beats immediately. So the one-shots and the preset sounds for this thing are really stunning. We had incredible producers and programmers make sound for it. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah. I mean, it was people like BT, but a whole bunch of people on the scene.
Seamless and AU5. We had amazing guys make sounds for this.
And
so.
like, I'm gonna play the snare again. So this is one snare sample in BreakTweaker, but AU5 in this case, he layered, like 10 different snares with subtones, sine tones, which takes people hours. So we just kind of put that in the content library so you guys can get up and running way faster. So I mean, listen to the snare, and you'll hear all the different layers.
See, he stretched this second note too.
So let's say I built this basic beat, BT was talking about the micro edits. Well, we've got this snare right here. To start real basic, I could just chop it into 3 granular slices.
So triplets, right?
And that's fun and everything, but that's not what you're all about. You want to go way further.
Well, but think about that. Think about if you're programming on a traditional style drum grid, you can't do triplets. Just that alone. Forget about the microrhythmic stuff. You want to do quintuplets. You can't do that on a TR style drum grid. So, you can do it on this. So now we're about to get crazy.
Yeah, let's say I'm going to start medium crazy and then go full blown. So if we just maybe subdivide this one snare into 26. That's awesome. But then check out what we have right over here. We have this tension control. And you'll notice if I start turning it left or right, I'm adding tension to the granular slices. So we're slicing up this audio.
You're sort of, you can think of it as a magnet pulling the slices to one side or another, and then you have accelerandos and decelerandos, right? These are things that are just absolutely not possible before this instrument. Something I want to point out right here is there's many different ways to slice up this material. So right here we just have a simple kind of linear, exponential, logarithmic type thing where you're adjusting the alpha, but you could apply a sine curve to it. So, and if you subdivide this, you can see, where it's clustered there in the middle, and then you can kind of rotate that node how it's clustering, right? Yep. But even more excitingly, you could do this in octaves, and then you can switch the subdivisions to pitch. So let's say that you have something, that you're working on something that's in F sharp, right? You can take this and make it F sharp 1, okay? Let's find our F sharp, whatever, E flat, okay? So, and we're just gonna put it back to this, and you'll hear that this actually becomes tonal. I don't want this to have any extension.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're all good, man.
Just select this step again. There you go.
Just put that on 0. Let's see. Because, okay, now you're well. There you go. So now you have a note, right? And you can do things, okay? Like you can take this and actually think about what's happening when a note pitch bends, right? When a note pitch bends, it's clustering, the tone is clustering to one side. So you can take this and you can have it, let's put it back to, it's on curve, so. It's just complete instant insanity. Another thing that is cool to point out is you can gate those slices and add a tail to them, right? And spread that tail out. And also too, over here we have fade in and fade out, right? So you might put this thing at the end of your bar. So you have, right? Another thing that's really cool is you know, in modern music, we do a lot of things where you want to have pre-attack transients to a backbeat, right? Like that kind of dead mouse sloppy clap thing, right? It's really popular. You can actually make those kind of attack transients by putting a slice in there, subdividing it, right? You know, changing the tension a little bit, gating this thing, okay, and then fading it in. And you have, there you go. There's your sloppy clap. And the thing is it's sample accurate now too. So you don't have to worry about kind of offsetting your clap, you know, the transients to get it to lock up. Just make new ones out of your sound.
Yeah.
So carry on. All right. I have too much fun with this thing. So
you can see what he's been working on for 12 years.
Yeah.
So let's say we've built our kind of our kick snare, we've got the backbeat in there, we've got the thing at the end, but we also have a synth in here. I mentioned that earlier. So we've built our drums, we've talked about the drum library. So I'm actually going to start, I'm actually going to bring in my hi-hats, and remember that they're these isorhythmic hi-hats.
You're on, I think you're on like a triple meter here. Check it out. This is another thing that's cool too to mention, is you can take these, each one of the timelines, and you can, for example, do the timeline in half speed, right? So not only is it isorhythmic, but you can actually, you know, do duples or halftime of each one of the timelines, or triplet values. It gets immediately into insanity.
It's the first sequencer you could ever do that with.
It is the first sequencer you could do that with, absolutely. There's so many firsts in this that it's weird. I feel like Bob Dole talking about it, where like talks about himself in third person, but we have achieved some actual firsts in the software. So 3 people got that. But anyway, okay. So yeah, you've got a thing. He's got a thing that's happening isorhythmically now. So hear that? It keeps shifting by an 8th note every time.
It's going to eventually get that from where we started.
And you can maybe here. Let's just play around with this sound a little bit. Is it okay if I noodle with this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so let's take this and make this something like really. Are you trying to keep this one fairly simple? Is that what we're doing? Okay. So maybe a little something like this. And then the cool thing is you'll be able to really hear it rotate around when it changes position in the bar. Right? And maybe.
So he's adjusting the velocity of the step there.
So you have this hi-hat part that's changing around differently, but you still have your backbeat the whole time. And you really hear it with that microrhythmic thing, how it's turning around different every bar. Do we show filters or anything? Or am I going all kinds out of order? Let's do some synth stuff.
All right.
Okay.
So we've got a beat, right? We need a bass. We need a synth. We need something.
Yeah.
So I got this new track here. We're going to start fresh. Instead of one-shot sample loader, we're going to go to our synth. So we have this basic synth right here. I'm just going to solo it. Basic sine wave. Yeah, let's pitch it down. It's a bass. Now the cool thing about the synthesizer, just if we go from left to right, we'll start at the left. So it's a morphing wavetable oscillator. And what I mean by that is I can actually morph through different wavetables of my sine wave and get some textures that a single oscillator has never really been able to produce before. And so just with a sine wave, I'm just going to start with that. One of my personal favorites, I mean there's a lot in here and there's some pretty crazy ones we'll look at. I mean look at this square wave, you've never seen a square wave look like that, but it sounds great.
Something he hasn't mentioned yet is this is mappable to a modulation source. So you put this on an LFO and the LFOs are of course lockable to clock, but the LFOs are not just lockable to clock. You can go up into actual audio rate. So these things can become like tonal at a point. So I'm scared to see what dubstep producers are going to do with this thing. Like, actually terrified. Anyway, so yeah, keep going.
Yeah, and check this out. You've never seen LFO waveforms that look like this, right? I mean, I'm taking a guess, but I think it's a solid guess. I get some really, really interesting sounds. So right now, in fact,
It's crazy stuff.
and you can add 2 modulators if you want. Might put it out of range actually. Just that.
Crazy stuff immediately.
So, okay, we've built a little synth sound here. We can layer up to 3. We can do additive synthesis. There's 2 oscillators. So if I want to add a second one here, maybe like a sine, a subtone. We have, I mentioned additive. We have ring modulation, amplitude modulation, FM synth. But let's say we've got our sound. What do we do next? That's our synth sound, right? I'm just going to adjust the depth of the LFO just a little bit. Next up, we have the distortions. If anyone's familiar with Trash 2, iZotope has a big track record in distortion. There's some really great aliasing and bit crushing distortion from Stutter Edit, and they're kind of all over our products. We have some really, really great ones in here. But the thing that actually you just mentioned is the filters. So can anyone take a guess? If I'm calling the filters a New York filter and a Tokyo filter, does anyone kind of have an idea as what that really means?
Skyline.
It's a good guess. I like that one.
That is a good guess.
It has to do with sort of, it's idiomatic.
Yeah.
It's like styles of music. So New York, maybe house music, that makes you guys think of, sort of? No, it didn't. All right. It made sense to us.
Yeah, exactly. So we have 2 filters. I mean, there's a brick wall as well. The New York and the Tokyo filters. They're technically modeled after some really awesome and very well-known analog filters that people use on drum machines, have been using for years and years. And they're called New York and Tokyo. I'll leave it at that. So, you know, we could modulate that filter, have it going up and down.
Science and alpha.
Yes, sir. So you can get some really, really interesting textures. We even have, just to kind of really show you guys, like, as we were kind of developing this product, like, BT, you were making wavetables over and over, just new wavetables, hundreds. Things you guys haven't heard before. And that's why we give them these really fun names, because there's no frame of reference for them. So if I choose this one here, it's called Dragon Artifacts. I mean, this is a single oscillator, right? So if I start modulating that, it gets kind of wild. And so, in fact, let's just bring everything back. Just, you know, we've been listening to synth, so. And bring our kick and our snare back, bring everything back. But you can apply micro edits to the synth as well.
Oh yeah, this.
So, BT was talking about locking it to a pitch. So check it out, if I lock this to a pitch, it doesn't matter what pitch my oscillators are at, the granular synthesis is cutting it up, slicing it up, and tuning it specifically to that note. So then if I go back to my synths here, and if you want to do the honors, just hold down the C, if I start adjusting the pitch,
And it's like this crazy packeted sideband harmonic thing that happens. That is, again, is another thing all of us have never seen in a synth, because it's actually granulating the sound, and then you're changing the pitch of the granules, which is, I don't know. I mean, maybe something else does that I don't know about, but
I mean, you've been doing it manually for a long time.
yeah,
too, right?
it's true.
How
Yeah.
long does that take?
It's way too long. Like, too long. Yeah. So it's really easy to make, you know, incredibly compelling synth lines with this thing. You know, so take this thing and show you the distortion stuff here too. Oh, we have this on. This, I love this algorithm. It's really good. These things can be assigned to LFOs. You know, lock this and block. That's restarting too. We got a hi-hat turning around at a different time in the background. Just immediately new sounds out of this thing. Like, honestly, you know, the prototype and the versions of this thing that I've worked with for years, it's amazing to see how much better the final version of this thing is than I could have ever imagined. In terms of immediacy, for you guys, like I've been working with this thing forever, but for you guys to be able to make sounds with it, I'll tell you something anecdotal that's kind of funny. At least a third of our beta group asked me to not put this out. It's a true story. No, it's a good third. Yeah, it's a good third. Yeah, we're like, please don't put this out. It's too good.
Because for the past year, we've all been using it.
It's like cheating.
And so people are like, oh my god, how did you do that? But now everyone has it.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. What's the cool thing about the kind of democratization of technology? It's going to be really exciting to see what you guys do with this. Let's play them some patches.
Yeah. If we finish up, let's play a few of the different presets, and then if anyone has any questions for BT, you know, we've got a few minutes left. So the main categories that we have, and you get a ton of presets with the content library, but dubstep, electro, hip hop, minimal, and retro. So I was playing a little earlier a few of the dubstep presets. So like we have. Let me put it on that.
You explain to them this kind of paradigm too,
totally.
Triggering loops and that.
So I'm just gonna lift up my MIDI controller as much as I can.
This is something that it sort of shares with Stutter Edit in that you're actually triggering parts of the application, which is kind of a different paradigm to a regular drum machine. You can trigger the sound.
So if you want to trigger just the sounds, you've got that here.
Right? There's your sound. However many layers of sound you've made. Yeah, and in your sequencer, you can just program the sound. Or you can program the actual patterns so that you can rhythmically switch back and forth between the patterns. Like, come on, are you serious right now?
This is all one plugin.
It's ridiculous. So yeah, let's put through the patches and show these guys.
Completely different, right?
It's some good minimal techno.
There's some serious bass to this thing too. I love some of these retro ones. Like super old school hip hop ones, you know? Yeah, knock yourself out.
Oh, you want to hear crazy? Yeah, this is Richard Devine just being ignorant. I don't even know what to say. Just insanity. There you go. I'm holding a key down on a keyboard. You see that? Ridiculous. So, I don't know what to say else but that. I mean, it's this thing is, and it's so deep too. You literally, one of the hard things about putting this out as quickly as we finished and getting it out is You know, we could have spent months and months and months just making patches for this. In fact, my patches are going to come out way later because it's just taken me forever. It is such a deep plugin. It's not even funny. So it's an honor to stand here with these guys. I really appreciate you guys making this with me.
Yeah, I think before any questions, just have a round of applause, not just for BT, but there's also some folks at the back that helped build this thing. Yeah, so right there. Yeah, I mean, since you're here, are you happy to take a few questions?
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, anybody got any questions? Pardon me? Oh, I've been using this since its earliest iterations. Yeah, absolutely. Right here. Oh yeah, I have more ideas than time or development possibilities. Yeah. No, there's, well, you know, I mean, without obviously going into any kind of NDA specific territory, this, you know, there's a lot of things that this alludes to, too, you know, that are not just rhythm, but I think this is an incredible place to start introducing some of these ideas conceptually. I mean, there's really some new ideas in this, you know, and one of the most exciting things about Stutter Edit was we finished it, you know, it was done. We put it out into the world, and then slowly we start hearing the EDM guys using it, and then it's on a lot of records, and then suddenly, you know, we start hearing it. I start hearing it in pop records. It's like Flow Riders using it. We got an email a couple months back, and Taylor Swift's tour manager said Taylor's going to be singing through Stutter Edit on the Victoria's Secret Music Awards. It's like a featured part of her song Trouble. And we're like, that's incredible. So one of the things that's going to be so exciting is watching these very sort of academic, you know, ideas and proof of concepts that are now condensed down into a usable application, filter out into the music world. Because a lot of these sort of paradigms don't yet exist. They really don't. That's not some like bullshit media hype. Like, you can't do these things in anything. So it's going to be awesome to watch it kind of. One of the things I think that would be really cool is to run one of these for your backbeat, right? Like your kick snare, some cool microrhythmic percussion, and then a totally different one to do bass and melodic figures. So, but I won't lie to you. I mean, it's like, it's CPU intensive, so you're going to want to have a bomb computer to do that.
And the multi-outs are on the right-hand side. So
Yeah.
Just click on, you know. So when you load this, you can load it, like some hosts will load a stereo instance or a multi-out instance separately, others it's all in one. But you could have 6 tracks going to separate buses for separate mixing, if you wanted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Build everything around BreakTweaker.
Yep. Yeah. So you can have again, it's what we're talking about with the like track count limitation. We wanted to give you guys something that's musically useful too, because you can get literally psychotic with these wavetables. Just having 2 instances of wavetables, honestly, you know, and having those, you know, for example, having you know, a wavetable that's a simple shape and then a kind of format, a valley wavetable, ring modulating it, just on one thing, it's this crazy sound, you know, and then distortion, you know, mapped to LFO, you know, and then you add another oscillator to that, and immediately, you know, you can quickly get to a sound that's not musically useful, right? So that part of why we've, you know, kept it that tight is so in the hopes that you guys make very musical sounds, which is very easy to do.
There's 36 oscillators total, so yeah. So just 6 tracks, each track has 6.
Questions? Absolutely, and in fact the pattern is actually key down, right? So you can see I'm flipping through them right there. So yeah, if you load a beat, there we go. So that's just key down. Yeah, so that's all totally automatable. And I mean, the coolest thing is it gets you thinking, like you kind of zoom out on thinking about rhythm. In a drum machine, you know, I remember working with a drum machine when I was a kid, and it's like you program a beat, and then you might chain those beats together into a song, you know, MPC 60 Days, you know, or even an 808 or a 909. But with this, it's like you program these an array of beats, and then you can play them into your DAW in the same way that you can with Stutter Edit, you know, play through these different micro gestures, and so it's like happy accident heaven, you know, because instantly you'll be like, oh wow, that eighth beat, the first beat and a half of it is so cool with pattern 3, but you're not really thinking about that, you're just playing the notes, you know what I mean? So you're instantly having these like crazy happy accidents. But yes, you can automate that, absolutely, you know, like a key feature. Yeah, cool, man. Right on.
I think we have time for one more question, maybe. And if there isn't one more, we should.
Cool. Thank you guys.
So much.